what you're seeing right now is my morning routine. So it starts off with skincare and then makeup and finally out the door. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, truth is it wasn't always that simple because most days I used to spend way too long in front of the mirror, hyperfixating about what my skin looks like. I used to have really bad acne. Now, we're not just talking about a few pimples here and there. I mean, I was taking oral antibiotics, I was using all kinds of topical treatments, I would avoid social events because I was so insecure about my skin. And most days, I couldn't even leave the house without a full face of makeup. It really began to affect me emotionally. So I wanted to challenge the conversations we're having about acne. And specifically, I wanted to see if there's some sort of relationship we can draw between acne and mental health. I'll be doing a deep dive into the different kinds of acne experiences other people have. And at the end of this, hopefully I'll have some sort of answer as to where these expectations for perfect skin come from in the first place. Recently, I noticed that more people are open to talking about their acne experience. One person that comes to mind is my friend Amrit. Now, we used to be on the same track team nearly 10 years ago, but when she moved away for school, we still kept in touch via social media. And recently, I noticed that she was posting a lot about her acne online. And this was really unique to see, especially because Amrit is a model. She lives in Toronto and she works on all sorts of projects, from fashion to runway editorials, as well as photo shoots and different kinds of modeling campaigns. So to see her post so candidly about her skincare imperfections, something that could potentially be so closely tied to her modeling career, was really unique to see. I reached out to learn a bit more. So Amrit, we're here today to talk about something very important to the both of us, something that the two of us have lived experience with. We are going to be talking about acne.
Ooh, our favorite.
Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your experience with this?
Grade 9 so I was about 15 years old. That's when I was first introduced to acne. And I'm about to turn 23 and I still deal with it. Definitely in high school, it affected my confidence. Just the way I saw myself was distorted. Going to a high school where it was predominantly white and being a person of color, and I wasn't really proud of my ethnicity, and I wanted to be white very badly to fit in. I felt like acne was one more thing that made me stand out from the crowd. Besides from like my bushy eyebrows, my thick hair, my skin color, this is just one more thing on top of that made me different from my peers, which I hated.
So would you say there was a direct link between acne and mental health for you throughout your life?
For me, there definitely was, yeah, because the more I stressed out, the more I hyper-focused on like every little thing on my face. My acne was getting worse, my stress was getting worse. It was just, everything was all kind of falling apart, and I didn't know how to get a grip and handle of everything, which ultimately deteriorated my mental health.
It's okay.
To learn more about where these beauty standards come from, I went to the University of Ottawa and met with Dr. Mythili Rajiva. She's an associate professor at the Institute of Feminist and Gender Studies, and she helped me better understand how acne intersects with other identities surrounding how we perceive beauty.
And I think skin is one of the ways in which, it's the thing that covers us, it's the thing that people see. And for girls and women especially, it becomes very much a way to determine whether or not you fit current beauty standards. Society has had for a long time an understanding of what hegemonic or dominant beauty is, and that is, always mainly white, often blonde, thin, heteronormative, cis, and able-bodied. So for racialized girls and women, just being of color means they are already quite much further away from what dominant understandings of beauty are.
How might that affect mental health, for example?
Being racialized has huge impacts on mental health and sort of what researchers would call everyday or insidious trauma. If you add to that the ways in which girls and young women have to constantly navigate this world through their bodies and their faces and be defined first and foremost within that notion of what is normatively attractive, you're talking about an intersection of very potentially dangerous mental health struggles that society doesn't take responsibility for, and it becomes very much internalized by individuals.
This conversation with Dr. Rajiva really helped me understand just how interconnected someone's identities can be. And it also forced me to confront my own awkward journey with acne, something that at the time seemed so personal, when in reality could actually be quite a universal experience. When I was experiencing acne, I was doing research online and I was talking to my parents, my mom. I was trying to find the source of what was happening. Did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, girl, YouTube was my best friend. YouTube, Google, I was on that like no other. So my Google searches primarily consisted of how to clear my acne in a week, how to clear my acne like in a day, overnight, what product should I be using, what food should I be eating that help. And I couldn't visibly see anyone who was experiencing really bad acne as I was. I guess I was trying to find a sense of community online.
What's really interesting about you, Amrit, is that you have sort of your own online community. Would you define it as that? How have you been talking about acne online? I think this is really interesting.
I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't edit my skin images when I'm posted onto social media. So I saw how detrimental it was to my mental health.
So I have your Instagram here, I've pulled it up. Is there like a picture you'd want me to focus in on in particular? You talked about mental health and acne. Which one should I go to?
I feel like this one, like the one with like my skin, yeah, that was almost like therapeutic for myself. Scary to post it online, but I needed to be honest with myself, and I guess I just like doing that in front of the public.
Good morning! I am currently taking the course to better understand acne because mine has returned and it's been a process.
Those teen years when I would search up acne or acne in the South Asian community or growing up as a brown girl in a Western society, I would find nothing. And that really impacted me because I felt like I was alone.
I think for young women of color to see more and more women of color represented in the modeling industry, in mainstream media, in Hollywood, on television is incredibly important. It's not that representation is the only thing that matters, but it does matter, because how are you going to feel as if you belong to a particular culture if you never see yourself anywhere? If everywhere you turn, you see people who don't look like you.
Perhaps me having acne is my superpower. Maybe I'll be the first one on CoverGirl with like acne pigmentation on my face, and like that would be like, like maybe that is what makes me special. Maybe that is why I still struggle with it to this day.
I'm really glad that people are able to look towards Amrit as she raises awareness about her acne struggles. I know I would have really loved seeing that when I was younger. But what I'm also seeing here is that destigmatizing acne isn't the only boundary that's being pushed. With Amrit, for example, she's also giving a voice to the South Asian experience of growing up in a Western society, while also pursuing a modeling career. And as Dr. Rajiva explained, these are examples of intersecting identities that can influence how we experience the world. And especially when we take into consideration just how harmful Western beauty standards can be, we can truly begin to understand how that might affect our mental health. So as I try to understand acne as a whole, I'll always remember that nothing is truly one-dimensional, not even the zits and pimples that we can get on our face. And now as I look at things on the surface, I'll always know that perhaps there's more to it than meets the eye, and that the skin that I'm in is beautiful just the way it is.